I have been promising to take you through my Lightroom process because so many of you are not using Lightroom and are wondering, is it easier than Photoshop? And I think it absolutely is. I have not looked back at Photoshop once since using Lightroom as my primary editing tool. So to pull some pictures in, this is all you do. You open up Lightroom. Here under the File button, you'll find it says Import Photos and Videos. You click on that. And then as soon as your library pulls up, you tell it the source from where you want to pull your images. I am going to use this untitled SD card because I don't title my SD cards. And then you can, it will auto check all photos. Since I only want to bring in a couple today, I'm going to pull in these final images of a Buddha bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the ones that I want. As soon as they're highlighted, I'm just going to make sure that the little box is checked. And then over here, apply during import is where you can put on your presets. I'm going to show you how to do that another time. For today, I'm just going to pull them in raw format. You can also tell it to not import suspected duplicates so that if you shoot several shoots on a single SD card, you're not going to keep re-importing the same photos over and over again. You can make a second copy if you would like to backups. I never really do that. There are all sorts of other buttons, but you just really don't need to focus on them. The next thing that you do is you push import. So what that's going to do is up here in the corner, you're going to see that it's copying and importing photos. When this little dialog line disappears, then all of your pictures are in. So we're just going to wait for a second for all of my pictures to import. And you'll see that down here at the very bottom of the screen, they're going to start showing up in your little Lightroom, just like you had pulled in some negatives. And one of the best parts about Lightroom is these photos are now pulled in, and we're going to be editing on top of the regular raw photos, but the regular raw photos stay untouched. So I can save a JPEG, but always maintain my absolutely original file, pull it into Lightroom, play with it. It's a non-destructive editing tool, as Matt Seta would tell you. That's where I learned that term, so I don't want to use it. Okay, so let's say I want to go ahead and edit this photo. So it's not turned. I'm going to push Command and then the little bracket button, and it's going to pull my picture in. You'll see I'm using now, instead of a pointer, a magnifying glass, so I actually can get up very, very close to my images and make sure that they are sharp. I wait a little bit for this loading button to hit, and I'll actually see the crispness kind of connect. Now, I did not use a tripod for these images, so I'm going to hunt until I can find one that is sharp. Once I find an image that I'm ready to edit, okay, that one's good to go. Then I'm going to go here to the Develop button. And over here on the right side are all of the things that I can do to the photo. I can change the exposure. Maybe I want to do that a little bit. I can change, that's maybe a little bright, right? I can change the contrast, really pull up the colors. You can go as dramatic as you want. You can pull that down as much as you want. And any level changes over here are going to change the look and feel of your image. So what I traditionally do is I tend to pull the exposure up a little and the contrast up a little. I like to pull the highlights down a bit because I don't want them to over poppy. And I like to pull up the whites because I just think it looks nice, instead of having highlights, to just have an overall boost of white. I've also found this is one of the easiest ways for me to create a nice vibrant white with just a hint of blue. I really, really love just a hint of blue. And so what I'll do sometimes is take the temperature over just a smidge to make sure that I'm not getting yellows. I think that yellows look like they've been improperly lit. Blues kind of have the essence of natural light and tend to be just a little more inviting to look at in my experience. You can pull up the vibrance. Sometimes I do, especially if I'm making a natural looking bowl. So these are kind of the primary edit tools. Now when you go down here, there are all sorts of other things. You can see I have them open. that you can play with. And if you are a Lightroom user, this is just where the fun absolutely begins. One of the other things that I really love to do, I rarely use tone curve. I absolutely love to pop in here on split toning and add a little bit of blue to my shadows. I just think it gives this like nice kind of moody film look to my pictures. We'll close that up. For detail, if you want to add sharpening, I tend to pull the radius, detail, and masking way up. I just find that it adds sharpness and boom without adding any kind of like eye-hurting crispness. The luminance will get rid of noise. But this is the great thing about Lightroom is you can sit in here and it's literally these sliders. You play with them and you play with them and you play with them until you have exactly what you want. Maybe I want to add a little vignette in there. And as soon as I'm happy with the way that my image looks, then I'm going to go ahead and go up here to File and push Export. And once I get that exported, I can tell it where in my computer do I want to save it. So this is a recipe for one of my clients, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the client folder. I can name the subfolder that I want to save it in, so this just makes it really nice to save by a folder within a folder. You don't have to go in and make one in the Mac Finder or in your Microsoft menus. You can just make them right in here, and then I can actually name these images whatever I want them to be. So we're going to call this Buddha Bowl 1. I push export and it saves. Now, one other really wonderful thing that I love to do is because I make the same changes to every single image almost every single time. Once I have these images saved on these settings saved on a picture, I'm like, oh, I really, really love those settings, especially on this picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my presets tab and I'm going to hit plus. Once I hit plus, I'm going to call this Yuri Buddha Bowl. I can name that preset as whatever I want, and then when I go to this next photo, all I have to do is find that preset in my list, and check this out. Are we ready? Are we ready? I can change it in a single instant, and all of those edits are now applied to this photo as well. It is so fast and so easy, and then I can just tweak within that. You don't have to go all the way down the list every single time, and boom, editing for that image is done. Just one of the things that I love about Lightroom, and there are many. Hope that helped, and if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below this video, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability.